it's not that strict. It is that strict. What am I saying? Hello, I'm back. Tai the Test Queen here, and today we're doing TOEFL. I think in my next couple of videos I'm going to focus a little bit on TOEFL, and then we're going to go back to IELTS. So today I'm going to talk about the reading section, how to answer the TOEFL reading section and get 30 out of 30. It's not very difficult. Anyone can do it. You just have to practice, and I will tell you all my tips, techniques, what you can do. I hope you can hear me. The microphone's here. There's nowhere else to clip it on. By the way, in my previous 3 videos, something was wonky with my eyelashes. It's the eyelash glue. I tried to make it better today, but I'm not sure. It might still be wonky. So if my eyes go slower, one eye goes slower. One of my friends called me. He's like, "What happened to your eyes?" Nothing happened. I put on too much lash glue, but I have to, otherwise it doesn't stick to my face. Anyway, today we're doing TOEFL reading. So the TOEFL reading section it's quite a daunting task. A lot of students get nervous. Test takers, because not everyone is a student, right? So a lot of test takers get nervous when they see the reading section. And in my first video, I think I said the reading section is quite boring, which it is. It's academic reading. It's not always your cup of tea. It's not always what you're interested in. So it can be quite boring for you. But I'm going to tell you some tips, techniques, and tricks to let you do a good job and let you get 30 out of 30, get you the score that you want, right? Also, if you hear an ambulance in the background, I heard that in one of my videos. I live right by a hospital, so I don't hear them anymore. I'm used to them. So I hope if I hear them, I will stop. But if you hear one, sorry. Today we're doing the TOEFL reading section. So the reading section is, like I said, a little bit boring, but there are tips and tricks you can do to do a better job, to get it easier done, and to even have some time to go back and look at your answers to make sure you're correct. Because in the reading section, you could actually go back, not like the listening section. All right, in the reading section, there are 10 types of questions. And I'm going to briefly go over the questions today. I'm going to explain how they look, what they are, briefly how to do them, some of them. And in a future video, I will break them down. I will break them down one by one, and we'll focus on each and every single question. But if you don't have that much time to prepare for TOEFL, you're in a rush, you need to start preparing right now, or you need to prepare quickly, then today's video is for you, because we're doing a quick overview of the TOEFL reading section. I speak a lot with my hands. Anyway, a quick overview. So the first question is a detail question. I say detail question, it's a factual information question. What does that mean? Like I just said, it's a detail question. They want you to get details from the reading. They would ask you to answer something based on details, and an easy way to answer these, I feel, is to look in the passage that you've just read, the paragraph that you've just read. I'll get to that in a minute. The paragraph that you have just read, and read your answers, read the options, not your answers, read the options, and then eliminate the ones that are wrong. That's an easy way to do it. Otherwise, look for keywords and look for, what do you call them? Synonyms. Synonyms. Sometimes I've found that you will see a sentence that looks the same and words they've used in the passage are in one of the options, but that's not always the right answer. That's often the wrong answer, because it can be kind of tricky. So yes, factual information questions are detailed questions. You need to read for details. So when they give you that little paragraph at the top, read the paragraph carefully and make sure you find the details. Okay, so those are factual information questions. Remember to check them, especially if you have time. Also, notes, again, notes are very important. A lot of my students tell me they don't take notes for reading, but I do feel you do need to take notes. Take a piece of paper and just write the numbers. If you know what type of question it is, write that down. That's why I'm doing this, right? Because if you know what kind of question it is, you know, okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, these are the ones I need to pay a little bit more attention to. I can go back to this. If I have time, I'll skip this kind of question, I'll go back to the other ones. Because when you prepare for the test, you need to know what kind of questions you're answering. Don't waste your time in the actual test thinking, is this a vocabulary question, is this a inference question? Don't waste your time on that. But if you know, make a note. Or if you're just uncertain about the question, make notes on a piece of paper and just circle them or make a check. But always answer every single question. Even if you are not sure, guess, make a guess, an educated guess. And then you continue. Never leave something blank. Just make a guess in the test and then make a circle on your paper or a check or a cross or whatever works for you. And then you come back when you have time and you make sure and you read that question again. You can see if you can change it, but never leave anything empty. Never leave anything empty. That is so important. So make sure you answer every single question. So that's a factual information question. On the other hand, the opposite of a factual information question, we have a negative factual information question. So here they will give you 4 sentences and you have to find one that is not true or not correct, and you have to single that out. For example, they will say, in the 1920s, workers did all of these except, and then the one that they didn't do. So you have to read a little bit more than the factual information question, because basically for the factual information question, which I'm just going to call detailed question, for the detailed questions, you have to read until you find one that's correct. For this one, you have to read and find 3 that's correct, and then the other one is wrong. So then you have to eliminate that. So it's a little bit more reading, a little bit more time consuming. Give yourself like a minute to do this. Don't give yourself too much time. I would say, and I've seen this on YouTube. On the YouTubes, I've seen where they say you have to try to do 2 to 3 questions per 2 minutes. Give yourself a section and do that. So that is a negative factual information question. I have my trusty book here. I don't know if you're using this book, but I'm using the TOEFL IBT test guide. This is the 5th edition. My 6th edition is in my room. I'm too lazy to get it. Anyway, so I'm using the TOEFL IBT guide. It's a very, very useful book. There are practice tests. TOEFL's not sponsoring me. So I'm just saying this, get yourself this book and work through this book. You can work through this book on your own with a friend in a class, online with me. So get yourself this book if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, just listen and take notes. There's an abundance of TOEFL, IELTS, TOEIC information on the internet, so you don't always need it, but it's very helpful. The next question we're going to do is an inference question. Inference questions, I find that my students find them quite hard sometimes because you have to infer something. Though it sounds daunting, like it sounds scary to think, okay, I need to infer. What does that mean? It means you need to read the paragraph and then you have to make an assumption. You have to make an inference of what they're trying to say. So they will not directly state the correct answer. They will, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked because I can feel my eye flapping around. So they will not directly state the correct answer. So you have to make an inference. If you get an inference question and there's something that's directly stated, read the sentence very carefully. It will often be like 1 or 2 words that's just off, just wrong, and that will mean it's not the right answer. So you have to make an inference. The next question is a rhetorical purpose question. So based on the IBT book, I'm going through this list. I have my own list when I teach my classes that I follow my list, but let's make it official today and let's stick to this format. So the rhetorical purpose question is, why did the author say this? The person who wrote this, why did they say this? Why did they think this was important? Why did they use this word? Why did they use this sentence? Why did they use this statement to explain something? So you have to put yourself in the author's shoes, right? And you have to think, okay, they said this because they want to explain something else. You also have to think a little bit more. Like factual information questions, they are basically details you have to read. Inference questions, rhetorical purpose questions, you have to read a little bit more and you have to think a little bit more, right? So basically, just before I said we would get to that in a minute and I forgot, when you are doing the TOEFL test, you're never ever going to read, you're never going to sit there, okay, let's read everything, let's do the questions. No, because when you start doing the questions, you have to read the paragraphs, right? So then, when you do question 1, then you do paragraph 1, or paragraph 2, and paragraph 3, paragraph 4. So systematically, you will read through the whole reading passage, and then you will get your answer. So don't worry about it. Don't read the whole thing. Some people say scan through it. If you're good at scanning, that is, I would scan through it, but I never scan through mine. I just start doing the questions and then I read the passage, the paragraph that is relevant to my question. So yes, that's just a little tip. Don't read everything. You will eventually read everything, but piece by piece. Always remember, if something is difficult, break it into little parts and focus on that. That goes for everything in life, TOEFL, IELTS as well. So if you're having difficulty with reading questions in TOEFL, break them into parts. Like say, focus today, I'm going to focus on rhetorical purpose questions. Tomorrow I'm going to focus on vocabulary questions. And then you just break them into little pieces and you focus on them step by step. Okay, let's go to the next one. And the next one is a vocabulary question, my favorite. I love vocabulary questions. Why? Because I'll tell you my secret, and this is not always a good thing to do, but this is my tip that I give my students. You're all here because you're studying TOEFL and IELTS, so you kind of have a good grasp of vocabulary by now, I hope. If not, make sure to work that into your curriculum and study. Learn more words, learn higher level words, but anyway, vocabulary means the questions. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Like, I'm so excited. Like, I have so many things to say. I might miss something. And then just remind me in the videos, like, why didn't you say this or why? Then comment and I would come back to that. So vocabulary questions, vocabulary questions, I don't even read the paragraph. I look at the question and I choose the correct answer immediately. It takes me 30 seconds to do all the vocabulary questions in the TOEFL test. Depends how many there are, it's usually 2 to 4. So I would go down and do all the vocabulary questions first, and then I go back, then I start question 1, and then I do that. Other teachers, like some very good websites with really good tips, really good videos as well, they say to start with question 1 and work your way through, like, because that's the way our brain thinks, right? So if that's the way your brain works, if your brain works like step by step by step by step, like building blocks, right? Do question 1, then question 2, then question 3, then question 4. It doesn't matter if you do the vocabulary first or last, do them in the right order, do them in the correct order. I don't do that. I just usually scan vocabulary, and then I do them first, and then I go to part 1. It's not always ideal, so I do suggest, if they will still take you a few seconds, if you don't know the answer to a vocabulary question, then you have to read the passage. So that is what I suggest my students do. First do vocabulary questions, and then if they don't know it, then they go back to part 1, and then when it's time for the vocabulary question 4, question 6, question 7, then you answer it by reading the paragraph to make sure you understand what it means. The next question we're going to do is a reference question. Oh, I love them so much. They're so easy. They will give you a word, and you have to determine what that word refers to. For example, let's say they give you the steps in a process, and then the last sentence will be, they, blah, 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 blah. Then they will say, what does the word they refer to in that sentence? So then you have to read, does it refer to the steps? Does it refer to the people who did the experiment? What does they refer to? So you have to make sure you know what the sentence means. And I've done this with a few students one-on-one, and sometimes they would get it wrong, and I'm like, nope, read it again. I'm not going to even tell you the answer. And I'm like, oh, of course, it's this one. Yes, it's that one. So read it carefully, but don't spend too much time on them. They're not that difficult. Don't overthink this, right? Don't overthink. Usually when we read English, And I will get to that when we read English, not academic English, like for fun. We read a paragraph, we read a page, a chapter, and then we know what they're talking about. So these words, like the reference question answers that they want, these words are things that are stored in our brains while we read. So when we read, we just know them. But when someone asks you, what does that refer to? Then it's like, oh, this is difficult. I don't know anymore. But yes, you do know. So just trust yourself. Next question is sentence simplification. They would give you a highlighted sentence in the text, and you have to find one of the choices that match all the information. So the key to answering sentence simplification questions, and you will also see this when I do videos with each question online, you will see these questions focus on details. So look at the ones that focus on the important details of the sentence, highlight the details. That is what I suggest you do. When you see this question, make a note. Remember, notes, notes, notes. Take a note on your piece of paper, Take a note on your piece of paper and write down all the keywords, all the details that's important in the sentence, and then look at your options and see which ones give you that same information. Another time when you will need synonyms. That is a sentence simplification. It's a simpler sentence than the one highlighted, but with all the key details still in it. So make sure all the key details are there. Fireworks, wait. Why are there fireworks today? It's not like a special day or anything. Now that I'm quiet, I just realized how noisy it is outside. Now that the fireworks are over, don't know why there are fireworks today. Can you hear the garbage truck? Left have on. So, next question, insert text questions. I don't know why, but I'm not a fan of these because they are tricky. They're not that hard, but you will get a paragraph, right? I'm showing you here. There's no visuals, just imagination. So you get a paragraph here, and there will be 4 black squares on your page, on your screen. 4 black squares in front of 4 different sentences. Then they will give you an extra sentence, and you have to put that sentence on one of these 4 squares. You have to choose where it fits the best, right? So make sure to read the sentence that you are given and then read all the others. Sometimes, quite often, the sentence that they give you acts as a bridge to go from the one sentence to another sentence, which makes sense. I don't even have to say that, right? But make sure you read all the sentences carefully and make sure it fits in the correct space. Also, look for connecting words like furthermore, on the contrary, in contrast to. Look for those phrases and make sure that where you put it, it follows the information logically. There's a logical order of information. So just stick to that. And like I said, I don't like them. I think why I don't like them is because I have to read the whole paragraph. But anyway, you have to do them. There will be just one of them. There will never be that many of them. So don't worry, they will not take you that long. Let's go to question 9. Question 9 is prose summary questions. They're usually at the end, so when you get to them, you've basically read the whole passage already. So now you have to answer. They will give you 6 choices, and you have to choose 3 of them. The 3 ones with the major details, with big details, right? You have to distinguish between major details, minor details, and throw the minor ones away. So there will be 6 options. You need to choose 3, and this question is worth 2 points. So if you only get like 2 right, you will still get 1 point. So don't worry about that. It's not that strict. It is that strict. What am I saying? Yes, if you want 2 points, it is that strict. But read carefully. Look for major points. Don't look for minor details. If one of the choices has something that's very small, for example, an example, it's not going to be worth it. It's not going to be part of the summary. So you have to summarize the prose, whole passage, and you have to choose the correct answer. Okay, choose the correct answer is always what you have to do. But you have to choose the correct answers. You have to choose the correct answers based on what they say. They will give you 6. Some might be wrong, but others might be right. Like, let's say 4 of them are correct, but then you have to distinguish which one focuses on minor details and major details. So it's very important to understand the gist of the whole reading passage, and you will do really well. So stick to that. The last one is fill in the table questions. So for a fill in the table question, they will give you a table. You don't always get these, by the way. For a fill in the table question, you have to fill in a table. They will give you a partially completed table, maybe something with 2 categories, and you have to fill in sentences that match into those categories. For example, let's say the passage was about farming, and then farming in the future, farming in the past, how has it changed, or how is it going to change? Then you make sure farming in the past, you say all the methods, farming in the future, you add all the methods there. There will be statements, and you have to make sure you put the correct statements in the correct part of the table. It's not that hard. By now, in the test, you've read everything. So when you get this, you should know. If you don't know, you can always go back, quickly scan, and see where did they say this, is it important, and where does it fit in. Usually in these things, they would often be in different separate paragraphs. So if one paragraph is about farming in the past, they would list all the things there. So most of them would be in that paragraph. It's not always the case. How many reading questions will you get? Unfortunately, the most common one is factual information, detailed questions. But once you've trained your eye, once you've trained your mind to look for details, you will find them and you will see them anywhere and everywhere. I'm not using my fan so much. Thank you, Dan. Okay, so there will be 3 to 5 of them. Negative factual informations, 0 to 2. Inference questions, 1 to 2. Rhetorical purpose questions, 1 to 2. So that is per set, right? A set has 10 questions. Vocabulary questions, 3 to 4. Yay, score 3 points. It's like 3 points. If your vocabulary is good, it's good, it's good. I'm gonna go over the garbage truck because it is taking forever. I will just speak louder. Right. Reference questions, 0 to 2. Sentence simplifications, 0 to 1. Insert text question, 1. There's not always a sentence simplification, which is good. Prose summary or fill in the table, 1 of them. Not 2 of them, just 1 of them. Read a lot. Like now, you're all getting ready for the test, and I feel it's very important to read more. When you have free time, read something. Read magazine articles. Read the news. Read online websites. Read something to read something. While you're reading, it is also passive learning, right? So when you're reading something that's fun, read Harry Potter, anything, read something fun, and you will learn. You don't know it, but you will learn. You will get, your brain will absorb all these words, your brain will absorb information, like my brain is absorbing the noise of that garbage truck. It never bothers me, I'm used to it. I've been here almost 20 years and I'm used to it, but now while I'm recording, I'm very aware of that. It's gone. Wow, thank you. Okay, so that is the reading section. That is the reading section for TOEFL. Remember to read them carefully. And this channel of mine, I compare IELTS and TOEFL a lot. TOEFL reading is not as tricky as IELTS. It's a little more complex, it's a little more academic, but it's not as tricky. So it is very possible to get 30 out of 30 for TOEFL reading. It's not that hard, you just need to read carefully, you need to improve your vocabulary, and you need to take some notes. So those are my tips for today. I will make videos in the future about every single reading question, every single listening question, and we will go through them. And if you have questions, please ask me. Instagram, Shady Bearded Lady, or comment on the video. I do check the comments, not that there are, but I will check them once they come rolling in. I will check them and send me a message. That is it for today. Thank you so much for watching another video. If you've come to the end, please hit the like and subscribe button. I sound like a YouTuber now. I will keep on posting these videos once, maybe twice a week. So the more I do, the more I'll post. obviously watch this video again and again and again. Practice, practice, practice. Read, go through the book, go online. There are so many videos. There are so many videos on YouTube where you can do practice tests with online teachers. No, it's videos. You have to watch them, but the teacher teaching the test. They're very valuable. And practice. Yes, that is all for today. Thank you for joining. And little heart, little friends, I will see you next time. Mwah.